September 2nd, 1939, when the Germans occupied Belchatov, our town. That was during the Jewish holidays, and they made all the Jewish people bring the Torahs and the talesim, the shawls, the prayer shawls, and the tefillin, everything to the marketplace. And of course, we all had to do whatever they told us to do, and we did. And we had to kind of surround the area, and then they put it all on fire. And we had to stand there and watch it all burning. And that was during the Jewish holidays.
I'm registered in Auschwitz unter Rosa Hirsch am Birkenau in 1944. The second day of truth, May 26th. And at noon. It was a very beautiful day. I don't know. For some reason, that day was extra. And on one side, they had the gypsies playing. And the other side, the band was playing. I mean, we got the reception. You have never, you can go to any resort area and never get a reception like we did got in Auschwitz that day.
Well, I can tell you when we arrived in Auschwitz, we came in the same car, in the cattle car, my mother, my dad, myself, my sister's baby, which was 1 year old, and my little brother. So all of us were together when we got off the railroad, the car. They told us families to stick together. And then we went in selection lines. They had to the left and to the right. In other words, one line was crematorium and one line was for people to be able to use them for laboring. I mean, they sent us to factories and different work. And the one story I will never forget as long as I live, and my mom was holding my sister's baby. And of course, she was selected to go in the crematorium. So my sister was a beautiful young lady, 19 years old, and well-developed and strong. And so, of course, my mom and my little brother, they were selected to go to the crematorium to the right. And my sister wanted the baby. She says, "Mom, give me my baby." So she forced her way over to be with Mom and get the baby. Unfortunately, she never made it back because they wouldn't let her come back. So she went to the crematorium the same day together with my mom, with my sister, my sister's baby, and my little brother.
When the door opened up, everybody pushed because you can imagine fresh air came into that compartment and people were able to breathe air already. And I was pushed out. And I looked and I stood up on the platform of the train and I looked up and I suddenly noticed my mother by a block away from me. And she had one baby on one side, one baby, and I screamed out. And she heard me, she turned her head. And the last time I saw my mother. Then, out of nowhere, a little car arrived in the front of the train. I couldn't move, I couldn't get down. That car had corpses in it. It was like a little ambulance. It had a big red cross on one side, red cross on the other side. And the back door, it was full of dead corpses. And they took this woman with the 3 babies and put them on the top of the corpses. When they did that, something happened to me. Sudden. I saw evil, bad, inconsideration, something wrong happens, something is not right here, nothing is like I see it, and I became very disorientated.
What gave us the strength. You know, people want to live. Just the desire, the will to live, and hoping and praying that you might come out of it. I mean, that's the only thing we had. We had each other. All we did is just stand in groups, warm each other, you know, back to back, or and just talk whenever we had time to talk. Because if you didn't work during the war, if you're not productive, you were not alive.
So that's all we had, a piece of bread and that little soup, and that you never get a little soup. And she always used to say, don't, see to it, never get into a fight, because a fight will damage you more than the food will be worth it. But that didn't help. The hunger still stayed on. So then I remember me being at home and the cows eating grass and living, and that's flesh. I put it together, the flesh. I can eat some grass, it would be okay. It would keep me. But then I find a little place behind the kitchen. It was restricted. Nobody was allowed to go in there. There the grass was growing. And I was running in. I was taking chances around noon. I ran in, and I took a handful of grass and ran out and ate. And so that was my meal, my real good meal, you know, little grass. Sometimes I had to dig roots up from the dry roots and take off the dirt and just chew on the roots. Whatever we could find, you know, I mean, survival is a very crazy thing.
I was in Sweden from 1948 to 1951, but that's where I married, that's where I met Ruth, my wife, because she was also in Sweden. We got to be friends because we went to school together. We were neighbors in the old country. After she came here to the States in 1951, there was a society from the city that I came from, Belchatov, and they made papers for me to come to the United States, and I came in 1953 to the U.S., in January of 1953. I stayed in the house of my wife's aunt and uncle in Manhattan, in New York. So after being here a couple of days, living in my aunt's house with Ruth, my uncle at dinner table said, on the Jewish law, on the halachic law, a boy and a girl cannot live under the same roof unless they're married. So I said, okay. So I asked Uncle Isaac, when do I get married? This was Wednesday. He said, Sunday. And I didn't know they had already ordered a rabbi, and they had prepared all kinds of stuff without asking me if I'm willing to get married. It was all done. It was a perfect job. But thank God they did, because I have a wonderful wife, and the 50 some odd years we married, we're just happy and delighted that it turned out for the best.
When I arrived in New Orleans, they took us out there, and they took us, the Jewish Family Service came and picked us up. And a druggist woman came, picked me up. She was looking for a wife for her son.
Okay.
She offered me a house, and everything that goes with it if I marry her son. And I said, thank you very much, but my destiny is Dallas, and I have to go to Dallas.
When we moved to North Carolina, we adopted 2 children. So we had some friends over here in Dallas. So I came to visit over here, and I saw some opportunities over here. And we Myself and my wife, we just decided we're going to try our luck on our own. Just we're going to open up a little sweater company. So we started our own business. Very successfully. And we stayed there for most of the years in Dallas. We had 100 people working.
Wow.
We had a $5 million business.
I came back to the Jewish Family Service and I said, look, I know you all gave me a letter to go to Mother Taylor, but if I can get another job, do I can get it, or do I have to go to Mother Taylor because she sponsored me? And she said, no, you can go any place else you want to go to work. I said, that's good because I'm going to work at Neiman Marcus. I worked for Neiman 6 months. And then I quit them. I didn't have the clothes. I couldn't manage it for 75 cents an hour. Even I had 40 hours. That was not enough for just enough to eat and room and board. I didn't have clothes. And so I just quit them and I met my husband. And I was working in the factory, so my husband called me up around 3 o'clock and he says to me, he says, honey, if we don't take the marriage today, we have to take another blood test. I said, that's $2. I said, we take it now. So I hang up the phone, I go over to the phone lady and I say, phone lady, you mind I go home now? She says, why do you want to go home? I go get that. And she said, what is she saying? I said, I am going to get married. She says, she called an interpreter. The interpreter talked to me in German. I said, yes, I'm going to get married today in court. And I devote more time to the Holocaust Museum. For that, I do whatever I can. And whenever they need me, I'll go and I'll talk, and whatever donation that goes, then it goes for them, and that's it. I like to see that building build up. We have the land, and I hope the building will get built up, or I will leave something behind that I know I've been passed through here. And that's my future.
I'm proud of that I came to this country, that's number one, that I had the opportunities, and I had an opportunities to go into business, and I had an opportunity to hire blacks and Hispanics, and something that I would have never had if I wouldn't have come to this country. And for a guy that went through the camp, and hardly whatever education I have, I had to learn at night or at home, because when in my school years I was in hell. So and then when I was out, I had to work to make a living.
I do think about it, but not on the same conditions as other people do. I mean, I think about it, and that was then. The agony, the pain that we went through, that was then. Now there's no. Now we have to enjoy the fruit and the happiness that we can receive from it, and whatever we can see that had developed from since we have been liberated. So let's hope that we'll be able to stop it, not to happen again.
I mean, if you can make a difference to make this world a better place to live in, or for a better world for humanity, and especially us, of what we went through in life, and then God was good to us, give us an opportunity, a second chance, and so it's doubly important to us to give back. So and that is the reason why we do see hundreds of thousands students every year and tell them all these stories, because we want to be part of making this world a better place to live in. I don't have to love you, but I don't have to hate you.